All right. Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Yes, no, maybe. I don't know if everybody can hear me. Yeah, okay, good deal. All right. Well, good morning. It's probably the most interesting week of 2024 for everybody who got a chance to see the chaos over the weekend with the new paperwork and all. So we'll kind of save those stories though for the community. So if you have any issues that came up with that, if we have time at the end, we'll get into it. But more than anything, let's get into it in the community. But for today, we're just going to jump right into our weekly wins. And from there, I'll go over the next assignment. It's kind of a big deal based on what's going on. It's funny how the timing worked out for assignment 14. Most of you are probably going to hate the assignment, but I think it's very valid and it's the perfect timing to do it. It'll seem like a break from video and all that, but it's the assignment that kind of needs to get done for people to have the right options and the right mindset for what we're doing for the rest of the year. But with that, I'll turn it over to, looks like, well, Cherry's doesn't have anything up here. And Esmeralda, she's not going to be with us. So we will be starting with Lakeisha. So, but I'll turn it over to Tanya and all yours.
Hey, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Definitely interesting week. That's a good way to put it. I think, I don't know if anybody's seen anything, but I'll just share the stories that I've seen so far. I've had 2 people reach out, on a sign call, and I told them that I would hook them up with an agent of mine to show them. They just need to sign the buyer's rep. And they basically said that one said that they already had a representative. So we told them, that's fine. We can show you for $50. And they were okay with that. And the other one, so that one actually told us that they would ask their agent to show us. I'm like, that's how it should be. So, and then the other one that reached out, I told her the same thing. And she said, we're deciding to be unrepresented. And so I did the same thing then we charged the $50 and she was okay with that because she's planning on being unrepresented. But there's probably going to be a lot more issues with unrepresented buyers down the road. So, yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, unless we come up with solutions. So we'll get into that if we have time. But that's the whole concept that I've been hearing is people are having a hard time with that. But I have a way that we may be able to address a lot of it. All right, but
yeah. So let's go ahead and start with Lakeisha. And I did have some wins. I actually got a buyer under contract, or hopefully today I'll get a buyer under contract. So. There's definitely the market's still moving. People are still buying. There's nothing to worry about. It's just interesting to see how things are changing. And I have a virtual open house scheduled for this Saturday. So
good deal.
Yeah,
that's obviously a good idea.
Yeah, I'm curious how it'll go. I don't know what to expect, but I think it'll be just cool to see if people actually log in and I get their emails versus people showing up right to the open house.
Yeah, well, if you're not getting them, we'll talk about that as well. I'll talk about the plan I have for virtual open houses for everybody if they're interested. We've had pretty good turnout so far, and we're picking up leads. So if you do virtual open houses and you're picking up as many leads doing them virtually as you do when they come live, that definitely can't be a bad thing. So.
Yeah, I'm only scheduling it for 1 hour instead of 2, and I'm not leaving the house, so it's going to save me a lot more time. So.
Yep. Yeah, but I'll jump into that and kind of share what we were working on, and I think everybody will get a good deal out of it.
But. Awesome. Well, cool. Yeah, we can jump into Lakeisha. I'm excited. It looks like you had a really good week, so I want to hear all about that.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, this last week was pretty crazy. I ran some rental ads, so I picked up a few leads from there. And then I had one driven from my Google page. So that was pretty good. And you guys know that I closed last week, so that's why I put that one in there for that closing. But no, I got a lot of exciting things coming up. One of the things, I know you guys were just talking about open houses and this new this new thing that we have to do now, which I thought we was always doing, but but my thing as far as doing open houses, I think I want to go back to having buyer seminars. and just getting my leads that way. I think that'll be a great thing for me to start back doing, because you're providing education, you're getting people to come and have your forms ready at that time.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, that's actually my goal with the virtual open house. Like I'm gonna positioning it like you can come see the house and ask questions about the buying process and do like a combo thing versus just taking that house and treating it like a seminar. So
Exactly.
I like that idea.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure. I think I met a couple of folks last year. We did it at the house that you had, Tanya. We did the open house training for realtors. But yeah, that's the idea I used to do a lot of times with buyer seminars. So what we'd actually do is, let's say we started at noon, and we knew people need to show up on time, so we'd actually have to schedule like 3 buyers events, because the hard part was able to show up randomly. So we try to say, the one will start at 12, one will start at 1, and one will start at 2. So basically, you're just going over the same material 3 times, and you have to abbreviate it a little bit, because if you try to do the full, hour and a half, you're going to miss a lot of people. So we kind of had it abbreviated. It ended up being about a 30-minute briefing, and then we got time to talk, and they got time to look over the house. But yeah, you can actually schedule a 1-hour open house, and that way people either decide to show up on time or they don't, even if it's live. Now you might need to give yourself a window of 2 hours, but yeah, that is definitely a technique. And if you're interested in just doing more buyers type seminars overall, some people who went through my training for the speaking, you guys know, you now have that skill set, and you have the slides that you have to practice. So those are all the things that, you have a benefit from being part of the team here. But also, you're going to actually learn how to get in front of people and speak. If you're interested in that, let us know. That's something I try to do twice a year. Usually it ends up being once a year, but if the more interest I have, the better chance that I'm going to try to put that on. So, but no, good deal. I like what I'm hearing. And you said now with the rental leads are all of those ones that you're going to try to convert into buyers first?
Exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And have you tried?
So that's that strategy of meeting them at the apartment place. Yep. That's where we're going to meet at. I'm going to meet them at the apartment place, or I've been trying to figure out how to do this with the renters. I guess it's the same thing as bringing them to a new build.
Exactly the same.
I had one of my buyers who's supposed to be closing here next week. Call me and ask me, hysterically, what's happening with the new thing? What does that mean for me? I'm like, well, at this point, it doesn't mean anything to you, because I'm getting paid by the builder.
Exactly.
And so that thought in my mind was like, well, you need to keep doing that. You don't even have anything to worry about.
Couldn't have said any better myself.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do with the renters. I have a couple of appointments set with them this week, so we'll see how that goes.
Outstanding.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to add on the renters, you may have already discussed this, but I just realized it yesterday that you can, if they do end up, deciding to rent for whatever reason, you can now charge the full month's rent versus $250. So
that's true.
Make at least some more money on that.
Exactly. That is so true. That is so. I didn't think about that, Tanya. You're right. That's so true. Yep. Yeah. While you're discussing that buyer rep agreement, let them know this is what I charge.
Yep. And then sellers or landlords will probably be willing to pay it anyways because they want to rent their house. But I think it should have always been like that. People should have never been paying buyer or renters agents $250 to start with.
And the sad part, that's only in San Antonio. You go anywhere else, any of the big cities in Texas, they all do a percentage. San Antonio's like, $250, $300.
I saw one for $25.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there you go. Thank goodness we can charge a fee in San Antonio, because that's driving me up a wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And that also being said, like if they can afford the $2,000 for your payment or, to pay you for the rental, then why can't they afford the $2,000 for the down payment on a house? Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All kinds of strategies. See, if you just think outside the box or think like there is no box, there's no end to this. I honestly think, if we're being innovative, which is the whole point of this mastermind, is that we will take market share from all the people that decide that this is too much for them. So
definitely.
and that's the key to it all. All right, well, good deal. Well, thanks, Keisha. Yeah, we'll definitely start looking at how to do open houses or a strategy where we can add buyer seminars along with it. But yeah, I mean, if you guys need any material or if you just need me to put on a couple with you, let me know, because obviously I've got a lot of experience and I don't mind people piggybacking on what I'm doing and learning and then taking it.
Well, we need to schedule an appointment because I got my I want to start my first one with First America. Everybody, because they're giving out a good chunk.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Well, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But yes, we went and visited their rep over the weekend, so I'll talk about that here in a second.
Yeah.
All right, but great job, Keisha. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I know Rod's not with us. He has a walkthrough this morning. So next up is Bessie.
Yeah, it looks like Bessie had a good week. Even got a signature.
Okay, there I am. There.
One of the mics is off.
Sorry, it is off. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I'm using my phone. Let me see. Turn myself up. There we go. Two of my past clients came back and we went to Lenore and looked at some new bills. And I got one under contract, which should close in a couple of weeks. And that particular neighborhood, they're paying 6%. So that was a good deal for me. And the other two leads, one was from the Facebook Marketplace and the other one was from Up Next, which is part of Realtor.com. Mm-hmm. So I did get a lead from there. So let's see how that goes.
Where did you sign up with them?
Up Next, I just went on their website and signed up with them. And just recently they've become part of Realtor.com.
Okay.
Up. So that's pretty much my week.
And you had a seller, it looked like a seller lead as well, and appointment, and you got a listing. Or am I reading? Oh, did I skip ahead? Oh no, sorry, that's Ashley.
Yeah.
But no, great week. No, that's exactly what we want to hear. And I mean, when it comes down to all the strategies that we talk about, it looks like you're starting to see how stacking and putting these together makes the difference. So a lot of people are, like I said, when the seasons change, people are like, "Oh, my strategy is not working anymore." Well, then you need more strategies. And so you're seeing, like, every week there is possibilities. Your sphere of influence is almost always going to be number one. But what you're really trying to do is take all the lead sources that you have, and eventually they become your sphere of influence. So yeah, they go from cold to warm, and then from that point forward, it's like whether I buy a house or not, Bessie, I'm always going to, you're going to always be the person I refer for, real estate, no matter whether I am using you or not, because maybe I'm not in a position to do so. But as long as you stay in touch with that sphere, you take cold leads and convert them into warm leads, that's what's going to happen. And we'll talk about the rental strategies and the buyer strategies here in a bit. But yeah, and I'm going to talk a little bit about First America because they got they got an interesting setup going on, but there's a reason why they're doing that. So we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anything you want to add, Tanya?
No, I'm interested to hear about the First America thing, though.
Oh, okay. Yep. It's pretty interesting.
It sounds cool.
All right. So looks like Ashley's with us. Have a good week. We'll bring Ashley up. Good morning.
My husband's ordering tacos. Just a second. I'm sorry. Can you come back to me?
I can. Yep. So Brianna, we'll bring you up. Let's see. All right. Good morning. Should unmute your mic.
There we go.
All
right. Hello, everyone. Let me make my screen a little bigger here. So this week I did have one buyer lead from my sphere of influence, along with two. Let's see. looking. 1 buyer lead, and then 2 seller leads as well. All coming from my sphere of influence as well. And then I only had 1 listing agreement signed this week.
Well, only one's not a bad thing.
True.
That's great.
It was a good one.
No signatures. Go ahead.
Hopefully we have an offer by today on that one.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, the whole concept. So when I tell people how this works, I think if you went to my goal training a couple of weeks ago, the one thing that I like everyone to focus on, and maybe I'll get into that one of these days, it's kind of the training at the end if we're not running too long. But the final thing that everyone should be focusing on, I say if there's a single point of focus, it should be signatures. So whether it's a signature on a 1 to 4 family contract or a listing agreement, if you focus on that, you can reverse plan and everything else kind of takes place. So what I did was I put together what I call a vision agenda board. You know, people say vision boards. I'm like, I don't like pictures are great. You can look at them. It'll keep you motivated. It'll put you in the right vibe. But as you guys know, if you've ever heard me talk about the law of attraction, I always say there is no attraction without action. And then I line out the last 6 letters. So to me, the vision board itself is just the law of vibration. It keeps things top of mind. It makes you think about it. It puts you in a good mood, but it doesn't give you anything to take action over. So I put together what I call a vision agenda board, which basically is your agenda on how you're going to do it. And it says basically week 1, how many contracts are you going to get signed? What's your plan for the year? So if you plan to do 12 homes for the year, then you put 1 a week for the first 12 weeks. And every week you try to see if you can get 1 under contract. Now, if you get all 12 in the first 12 weeks, well, then you can take a break the rest of the year. Or you can say, you know what, it's not as much work as I thought and keep going. But the point is when you're looking at an agenda versus a vision board, it gives you a game plan versus just a bunch of images to try to help you focus and manifest. So if anybody's a big, star or a big fan of The Secret and the law of attraction, my thought has always been, and if anybody's a fan of Bob Proctor, he made it very clear that he wouldn't even record The Secret unless they let him do the epilogue at the end, defining the difference between the law of vibration and the law of attraction. They did not really talk about the law of attraction in The Secret. They talked about the law of vibration. And he made it clear that there is a big difference. And that's why so many people were like, well, I sat at home and I visualized and I tried to manifest and nothing happened. Well, I always tell people, if you want stuff to happen, you got to get off your assets and go make it happen. Like that's bottom line. So, yeah. But yeah, when you're getting the signatures, that's the single point of focus we're talking about. And so anytime you get a listing under contract or a 1 to 4 family contract, you're absolutely moving in the right direction. So great job.
Thank you.
All right, you got it. All right, so now we have, see if Ashley's ready. All right, Ashley, you good to go? All right.
Yes. Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, so this week I think I had 2 buyers. One of them was a previous lead that I had from an open house a while back. I submitted his paperwork, his sign-in sheet that he had to a lender, and the lender called him kind of to follow up as well, just to see if they wanted to apply and get pre-approved, and he agreed to. So we're waiting for that to come through and go shopping.
Very nice.
And the other one was a rental client that I'm trying to convert her to a buyer. We went and looked at homes yesterday, and we're planning to go back at looking again tomorrow. And then my listing actually came from, I guess technically it's a referral, and I'm partnering with an investor, to do some deals. They basically have some homes that they're needing listed on MLS, so I'm partnering with them to do the listing, and we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, fantastic. So obviously, everybody here's list to last, and it looks like you've kind of found a way to tap into to listings, regardless to what's going on in the market. So you're starting to see, you're going to need different streams to pick up leads, no matter which way you do it. Correct?
Yes.
Yep. And so I know you looked into pre-foreclosures. We're talking sphere of influence, and now you're looking at the investor realm.
Not necessarily. So I just got this referral, and we're partnering together, which kind of falls into the pre-foreclosure thing because I need investors for my pre-foreclosures as well, sub-2 deals, things like that. So it's kind of a partnership where, if I've got a pre-foreclosure, then I can partner with them. They've got a lot of buyers lined up as well for me. And then if they have deals, I'll list them.
Gotcha. So you're trying to put all the synergy together to make this a thing, basically. So I don't know if you get a chance to talk with Tanya. I know she's big with investors. So, if you go through the community and you guys have that discussion, I'm sure Tanya will give you some pointers on how to maximize investors, because that's kind of that's pretty much your whole niche, right, Tanya?
Yeah, it turned into that. So it sounds like that's what it's working out for you, which is great because it just snowballs off of each other. So, as you meet and network with more investors, they're going to send you more houses to list because they need to sell their flips and stuff like that too.
Yeah, they're basically doing novations, I guess.
Mhm.
At first they were just doing cash deals, and then they realized that there's a market where they can actually make more money on the home if they gets it listed on the MLS, and it can be conventional or FHA. So that's kind of where they're heading towards. So.
Yep. All right. Well, good deal. And we'll definitely talk more about these strategies. So as they come up, of course, we want to focus more on video, but if these strategies are coming up and people like hearing about them, that's where we go to the community, and you guys can kind of have your own forum there and share as much as you want. I don't have a problem with any of that because the whole goal is for you guys to hit your numbers for the year, or if not, do better. So we always want to feed off each other. So fantastic. Like what I'm hearing. All right. Good job. And I guess we got one left. All right. Thanks, Ashley. All right. Let's see. We got Anna, and let's see if she's with us. And not, then doesn't look like she's with us. She must be on the actual live stream. I can't see everybody on there, but I'm assuming she is. But she had a pretty good week. She does have a closing coming up, so might have been some things coming up with that. But that's where I'll kind of jump into the conversation. First, I'm going to go over a couple of things really quick on the assignment because I just want to get it out of the way. But then we'll talk about some other stuff. All right. So as you guys know, you started. If you're new with us, then make sure you go through the onboarding stuff. I will say, as much as people may not want to get a transaction coordinator, I'm just going to tell you, it's just not worth it not to. It's just too much work trying to figure out like what paperwork should you have and not have. And you're in the middle of a transaction and you reach out to me about transaction coordination. I don't even know where you are in the process, because you might say, well, I did as much as I can, but I'm stuck here. Then I'm like, I don't know where here is, because I mean, I could be looking at multiple contracts. So here could mean a lot of different things. It's like, I don't have, 14 pages. I don't have them every bullet point, every paragraph memorized. I don't know every single one of them. So I'd have to actually go open up a contract and look at it. Whereas if you're working with a transaction coordinator, everything you're asking, they probably already know the answer to, without even thinking, because they do contracts all day. That's all they do. And so I like to compare them to like an instructor pilot. If you're working to try to learn how to fly planes, you're not going to try to figure it out by yourself. You're going to have that instructor showing you step by step what to do, and they're going to bail you out because they know how to bail you out. So that's what I want people to think about. If you're new and you're concerned or worried, like, oh, I don't really think I want a transaction coordinator, my thought process is get one for at least 3 transactions. And if you decide, you know what, I'm only going to do 5 or 6 deals for the whole year anyway, then that's on you. But at least give them a shot for the first 3, and you might find out that those 5 or 6 turn into 15 or 20, and you're like, I did the same amount of work that I was doing for 5 or 10 and didn't realize that transaction coordinators come in handy. So at least give yourself that advantage. Like I had to learn how to fly helicopters with an instructor pilot. Now I can fly by myself, but there's no way I could have learned it on my own. And if you're going to learn it, one of the laws we learn in instruction is learn it the right way. We used to always say, if you can't figure out how to do it right the first time, how do you make time to do it over? So it's like, you want to learn it right the first time, you save yourself a lot of grief. And with all the stuff that's going on in the industry right now, I think it'd be very helpful to have a transaction coordinator to lean on when you start having questions about, a lot of these things that a lot of people go, well, I don't know what I need to have signed or not signed. well, I'm pretty sure the transaction coordinator is going to keep up with all this too, and they're going to make sure that you on top of all of that. So hopefully that was helpful for some folks out there. And I don't know if Phyllis filled out the form, but she did something out. I think this was yesterday. So if you guys didn't get a chance to see it, I'm just going to play it because I thought it was pretty good.
Hi there, Phyllis here. I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to take a quick moment to reach out and share something important with you. If you or anyone you know is thinking about buying or selling a home, I'm here to help, whether it's finding the perfect place to call home or selling your current property. I can guide you through the entire process. Recently, there have been some changes with the National Association of Realtors, and it can be a bit confusing to navigate. But don't worry, I'm here to guide you through every step of the way. Real estate can be complicated, but with the right support, it doesn't have to be. I offer personalized service and expert advice to make sure you achieve your goals smoothly and successfully. So if you know of anyone who could benefit from my services, please feel free to share this video with them. And I'm always here to help and would love to connect with your friends and family. Thank you so much for your support, and let's make those real estate dreams come true together. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
So I don't know about you guys, but that would be enough to get my attention. So if I'm not mistaken, she put in the comments. Matter of fact, I'll read it. Hello, everyone. Here's the video that I sent text or Facebook Messenger. So I'm reading this for a reason. Or Facebook Messenger to my friends. So far, I've gotten 2 buyers from it. So if you guys are wondering how video works, that's how video works. So I want to make sure everybody knows it is not as intimidating or as threatening as you might make it out to be. It can be very simple. And I have the entire script, very similar to what she just said. It's the Hello World script that I put in. I forgot which lesson it was, but it's in one of the very first or second or maybe third one. But it's Hello World. Introduce yourself. So if you haven't done that yet, by all means, as you're going through, for everyone that's new, don't think like you're behind or anything. All you're doing is going through each of the assignments. And by week 3, you should have your first recording done if you're going to, knock out the assignment. And then you just tell us about your win for the week, whether it came from the assignment or something else you were doing, and then move on to the next one. So it's not you're running behind or ahead or anything like that. It's just whatever wins you have. Everyone here is excited to hear about them, whether it's assignment 1 or assignment 15. So great job, Phyllis. That was a really good video. I think hopefully it helps other people to kind of go, yeah, I guess I can do that. And then, of course, the reward is always beneficial, but it's shocking, 2 buyers from 1 video. Just think if you did that on a regular basis. So one of the biggest concerns I always hear from the agents is, well, my friends or family should know I'm in real estate. Yeah, be nice if that's how it worked. But a lot of times they just don't remember. So you got to put them on your CRM follow-up list just like everybody else and make sure you stay on top of that. So, all right. The other thing I wanted to get into was the other assignment. So again, just move through the weeks. We finished week 13, we're at week 14. So like I said, week 14 assignment may seem like a break for some and punishment to others, but I think it's the perfect time based on everything that happened this weekend. And we'll talk about some of those issues that Tanya brought up, as well as, some of the solutions like buyers seminars and stuff like that. But for everyone who's wondering, like, how much should you be able to talk about when you're trying to win over a buyer? If you're wondering, like, how do I get them to sign? Why am I having such a hard time getting them to sign? If I don't know what to say, why don't I know what to say? Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't really ever have those problems. It really does boil down to how do you show your value? And Lakeisha has witnessed it, and she definitely has partaken. And that's what she was saying earlier. It's like, it's kind of weird that people haven't been doing this already, because I've always trained this for 6 years. I've never not trained it. When I started in commercial real estate in 2013, a buyer tenant rep agreement was signed before we ever showed them a single property. And so it was never like a thing that I had to go, well, oh my God, this is so tough. When people were going, I can't get an initial on an IBS. I'm like, what? What do you mean you can't get someone's initials? This is ridiculous. And I'm like, let me see your presentation. For buyers, Yeah. What do you mean for buyers? Yes, for buyers. So I did literally put together a presentation and share it with people. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to do presentation for whether it's a listing or a buyer, you're going to do a presentation. I'm like, if you go to a used car salesman and they're sitting at that desk and they're trying to do the little, let me give you the best deal on that bright red Camaro out there. And you're like, oh my God, they told me it started at 30,000 and he knocked off 3,000 just for me. Yeah, they write on a scratch sheet of paper and whatever numbers they put, you have no way of knowing what they told the person right before you. They might have told the person before you that's a better negotiator, oh, we'll go down to 5,000. We took off 5,000 for you because you refused the 3. So they would have sold the same car for 25,000 to another person, and you're going to pay $2,000 more because you don't negotiate as well. Well, and it only happens because they're using a scratch sheet of paper. If a car dealer did that with me, I'd say, why don't you open up that drawer and show me what you offered the last person who looked at that red Corvette? And they'd be like, no, okay, we got it, sir. Like, who's your manager? My manager so-and-so. Okay, what you got in the car? Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you have in the car? Like, how much are you willing to sell it for so that you can get your money out of it? Well, we don't normally tell people that. I know. That's why I'm asking, because most people don't know to ask you that. They're like, all right, Mr. Jackson, we got $22,500 in the car, and you guys need to make about $2,500 per car minimum. Everything after that's gravy. Yeah. So 25,000 is the best you can do, but it's been on the lot for like 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay. Well, I want it for 24,000. Well, we're not willing to do that. I'm like, okay. So if it's on the lot next week, will you sell it at 24,000? We'll see if that happens. All right. Well, I'll be back next week. You got to be willing to walk away, right? But that's car dealers. Can you imagine if every time you sat down, they had a printed sheet that they've used for the last 2 years or whatever it is that talks about their prices, kind of like a CarMax. There's no quibbling. You just go in and whatever they're showing, it pretty much that's what you're going to get. And that's the whole theory behind CarMax. We want to be like that. We don't want to be like the used car salesman that changes the price depending on what kind of sucker they think they got in front of them. And you got to understand that's exactly how consumers see us as realtors. They think like, you're just trying to get over on me. And so if you don't have a presentation and you just try to wing it, which is what I hear a lot of people saying, well, I don't wing my listing presentation, but I mean, we're supposed to have a buyer presentation. How do you plan to prove your value without it? If you're that good that you can talk through the whole thing, that's good for you. But as an instructor, I know for a fact that people need visuals. And if they can't see something, they're trying to remember everything you say. And anyone who has sight, we learn better. 75% of what we learn through sight. If you're somewhat more auditory, then 13% more may come through what you hear. But if you have sight, 75% of what we learn is through sight. So I always say have a visual aid. That's why you want to have a presentation. Get really good at it. And then now we're going to talk about what's in the presentation. All right. So what separates us from everybody else? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's assignment 14. If you want to be really good at this and you're thinking, I don't know what I'm supposed to know or not know, you can always turn over your clients to a lender if you want. But my thought process is pretty simple. You need to know how to pre-qualify your clients long before you turn them over to a lender. A lender can help you, of course, but if you're a new build specialist and your thought process is to turn them over to a lender, the lender might tell you they don't qualify. So I will tell you a story about D.R. Horton, and Lakeisha will back me up on this. Well, we actually talked about this last week, I believe. But that buyer was a veteran. Their score was 559. 559. D.R. Horton got them approved, and they closed. And that was a closing from last week. So if you're letting a lender who's not a builder tell you, oh, they need work, they need time, they need this, they need that, because you don't want to take the time to figure out the extra stuff that makes you look better in a presentation to your clients, then don't be surprised when you're like, I'm having the same problem everybody else is having. Well, of course you are, because you're not doing the extra work. And I've said this to people before. If you were to go get a license as a lender, and even if you didn't get the license, but just went through the courses, if you went through all the courses, there's nothing that says you can't share everything you learned about the mortgage process with your clients. But so many people are like, that's not my job. I'm like, well, why did you take real estate finance? Oh, okay. So it is your job. Now, how much of that you want to do, if you want to be like everyone else, especially in light of what just happened, If you want to be like everybody else and just be like, I'm just going to blow them off and push them to my lenders all the time, then, don't be surprised when you get the same results everybody else is getting. Now, there is a way to hand people off to a lender so that they're more effective. But unfortunately, most people don't even know how to do that. So if you're going to recommend a lender, you probably still need to learn their programs. I'll tell you, meet a lender, because I introduce you guys to lenders. Like if I go to CMG, if someone asks me about CMG, I could tell you about CMG's products off the top of my head. Oh, really? Yeah, I sure can. And it's not because I'm a lender, because I don't work CMG's programs. They work them. They have like the home funded. They got the all-in-one. They're really good with veterans. They use MCC credits. Why? Because I've done all this stuff with them. They have grants for veterans, which Veterans United didn't even have. So I'm like, you're Veterans United, you don't have grants for veterans? Like, no, we don't. Do you use MCC credit? No, we don't do that either. Well, I'll just keep my clients over at CMG because I know they have all that stuff. But that's the level that you guys as realtors, we have to have that level of understanding. We don't need to be loan officers to understand that there's different programs offered by different lenders. And you need to be familiar with what they're best at. So yes, my veterans will always go to CMG. If I have deals that fall out from builders because they're like, we can't handle this, I send them over to CMG, I send them over to Jenna, and Jenna looks over and says, yeah, I can save the deal. But if you take no, the first no you get as the answer, then you're going to be missing on a lot of deals. I audited one of my agents for a year and a half. Well, after a year and a half, we audited. Turned out that out of 18 deals, 13 wouldn't have gotten closed without her coming to me and finding out alternatives for financing. Everything from what you see here that's in this course. We talk about credit, income, and assets, alternative programs like, guess what, NACA, the HALO program. These are rent to own, student loan programs, down payment assistance programs, the MCC credit, gift funds, buy downs, rebates, what veterans qualify for. We even talked about how to help people get their divorce decree expedited. So if it's in here, it's probably for a reason. And so, yes, it's kind of a lengthy assignment, but it's all video based. I'd like to see everybody get through this. And guess what? There is a quiz at the end. So it's kind of lengthy quiz, but I think it's worth the time to get this knocked out. At least once it's in your memory bank, this is as close to the matrix where I can plug something in the back of your head and get you to learn it. This is as close to that as I can get. So if you take the time to go through this, take the exam, it will plug as much information in your head as humanly possible for the shortest period of time. Because without going and practicing on a regular basis, there's really no way to do it other than to take a quiz on it, because I know you will focus harder. But not only do I give you the videos, I give you a manual to start with. And then guess what? I give you another manual that you use to review the quiz. So I pretty much give you all the answers. So you're going to read it, you're going to watch it, you're going to hear it. There's certain things in the videos that are on the test that I don't have exactly in the guide. So you're going to have to watch the videos and learn all this. But then in the end, the bottom line is to try to get a 95. If you don't, then keep taking it till you do. Because the goal is for you to internalize this information. Because I want you guys to be able to look at a client, listen to their story, and go, they would be much better suited for a new build than they would be for a pre-owned home. And almost in every case, in my opinion, unless, of course, they're looking for acreage or a very specific price point, new build's almost always going to be the better choice, because the monthly payment matters. And I think as realtors, as much as we may not like that, you're going to have to get used to thinking monthly payment and figuring out how to calculate it, even if it means calling your builders every single day and going, hey, I know you guys got a 1.9% interest rate. What does that look like as far as monthly payment on that $355,000 home you got? There's nothing that says you can't call the builders and make that happen. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Now, with that being said, the one builder that we did go visit was First America Home Builders. Okay, they're brand new here in San Antonio, basically 14 months. They came out of Houston. We went and talked to one of the builder reps over in the Tranco area. And he shared everything. The way they build a little bit better. And they showed us the way they do their inspections. For one, they have an inspection about 2 months out. So the first inspection that comes out, they tell, hey, bring your inspector at that point. You don't necessarily need to wait 2 weeks before closing, because they want the inspector to see between the walls before the sheetrock goes up. And so they leave it at framing. So it's a framing stage. The inspector comes and looks at it during framing. And then after they look at it, they're like, now that you've had your inspector look at it, you guys can come back 2 weeks and do your initial walkthrough and then your final walkthrough the day prior to closing. And the reason they do that, because they're, as he stated, they're being as transparent as possible. Now, what does their product look like? Surprisingly to me, which I was like, this is ridiculous how nice they look. But they're at that price point where you would consider D.R. Horton, Century, or some Lennar. Lennar's higher end homes. But here's what's crazy. If you don't know how foundations are set up, typically, or what they sound like, usually the foundations are 30 foot, 35 foot. Then we start hearing like the 45, 50, 60. Well, Perry, just to give you an example, Perry starts at 45, they have 50, and they have 60. D.R. Horton has 30, they have 35. If you go to Riverstone, they got 45, they got 50s and 60s. They started adding those back in. They got the whole 5 lines. Well, First American decided to do 45s. So if you think about 45-foot product, that's the first level of Perry. But these homes are commensurate in price with D.R. Horton and Century. But the quality is very close to Perry. So they're trying to find this middle niche, and they're offering 7% commission because they want realtors to bring as many people out there as possible. Now, here's the catch. They don't want us to look at the 7% as 7% realtor commission. They want us to look at it as an entire package. We're offering 7% to get your attention as realtors, yes. But that, unlike a lot of these builders who say, well, we have a separate marketing budget from our sales budget, they're saying, no, it's all together for us. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Well, if we give you 7% because we're hoping you're willing to give up a little if necessary to help your client. Whereas I'd rather hear that up front than what these other ones used to do, like Lennar. They pissed me off one time, and I had to go off on their sales manager because I'm like, you sound like a complete jerk and don't even remember who you're talking to. I was like, I'm getting 1% on this deal, and you're talking about offering part of my commission to help. I'm like, did you guys forget you don't give us any bonuses anymore? And he stopped talking. It's the first time the guy ever stopped talking in his life. But he was always on the phone with the sales manager. She reached out, said, well, maybe you should talk to him. I was like, sure, let's talk. And I had a conversation. He's like, well, yeah, every time we help realtors out, you guys never want to help out and help your clients. I'm like, well, if you said that 2 years ago, you might have an argument, but you act like you don't realize you guys have cut us down to 1%. The difference in this particular home, which was a $200,000 home, the appraisal came in $3,100 under. And they're like, well, your client should come up with it. And, as realtors, you guys never want to help out. I said, 1% on 200,000 is $2,000. So you want me to pay out of my pocket? I said, how about you pay out of your pocket? Because I'm sure you're making more than I'm making on this deal. And he just shut up and stopped talking. He's like, I said, so maybe you should go back to your management and remind them that there are some realtors who are definitely willing to help people out. You can't punish everybody for the 1 or 2 that you guys don't care for. And this First American company is basically saying exactly that. Hey, we're going to entice realtors to come out here. But when we do, with that 7%, if we need your help, are you willing to give up a little? Because we're looking at the price of the home overall and saying we're reducing the price, we're offering a commission to you guys, and we're willing to give them a rate buy down of X, Y, and Z. So if somehow that doesn't work out, can we count on you guys to be a little more flexible with that 7%? Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you're buying a $300,000, your client's getting a $300,000 home, a 7% commission is $21,000. If you're willing to do it for 3, how much of that $21,000, how much of that difference are you willing to give up? So that's $12,000 more. If someone said, would you give up $5,000 to make $16,000 or $17,000? Well, $16,000. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm not going to quibble about making $16,000 on a home I was willing to accept 9. And when I was with Lennar, guess what? I took 1%. So what I try to train all the agents on is just remember, stop looking at your clients as one meal. You got to eat for life, right? So don't think, well, my God, I should have got the entire commission. Really? What's the least you've ever worked for? And then think about that. And I'll tell you something. When you're working with new builds and you're complaining about anything that you're getting, it's kind of weird to me when I've seen how much people struggle on pre-owned. Like, I mean, you guys were around when you had to make 10 offers on the, multiple homes and got turned down for all of them. like that was painful. So, and you got paid 1 check, and sometimes it wasn't near as much as you thought. So think about the consumer first. I think kind of wrapping this up, that's what I want everybody to kind of remember. What's going on in the market overall is that the consumer has to come first. And if you don't think that way, that's where the DOJ's gotten involved. That's where NAR made their biggest mistake. They started trying to look out for themselves and the realtors and the big box brokerages and forgot about the consumers. And when they made that mistake, they started basically violating the antitrust laws, didn't even realize what they were doing, got caught, and they lost 1.75 billion. Someone posted something on Facebook last week and I just laughed at it. Someone saw it and they even the person that posted it started laughing when she saw what I wrote. But it was, yeah, they didn't lose, they settled. I said, well, I don't know about you, but $418 million is a loss to me. It's just like, sorry, it might not have been 1.785 billion, but 418 million is a loss. I'm not sure how you don't see that as a loss, but sure. No, they got their butts kicked. That's what happened to them. So, but we all had to suffer the consequences. And honestly, just like Lakeisha said earlier, this is stuff we should have been doing anyway. So for anyone who isn't good with buyer representations, let me know. You probably should just watch mine over and over again until you get it down and then get it and start practicing. I don't even mind saying, one day let's get together and we'll pair up everybody and you guys just role play, because right now the presentation process is the only way you're going to prove your value, with one exception. And this is the easiest way to wrap this up. The only other way to prove your value, which I think is 10 times better than getting in front of people with a presentation, is recording video. Set up a series of videos so people can binge watch your content on the home buying process, on the home selling process. If you've done that work, and I think you guys have seen my series, and if you haven't, I'll send you the links. But it does boil down to, do you have a coaching program for sellers, video format, or a coaching program for buyers that's video format? I have 5 different videos for each of those, and it turns out pretty good. Oh, I did have one last thing I wanted to share. How many people are interested in virtual open houses? All right. So when you see this, try not to freak out. If you freak out on me, I'm going to just, run from everybody. It's like, I'm not helping anyone. There's too many people are tripping out on me. All right. So we did a virtual open house with Perry a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to show you the final product. So once we do the open house, I talk about follow-up, right? So when you're done with your open house, how would you guys like to have something that looks like this? You finish your virtual open house and you tell your people on your open house, hey, not only are we going to talk about all the incentives and everything that are going on this week with Perry Homes. So Callison Ranch, Perry Homes, virtual open house. This is the replay. So with this format, I was able to put together not just the replay, so they can, hey, if you didn't catch it, here's the replay. If you missed the virtual open house and you want to watch it again, here's the replay. Additionally, we've added you to our deals of the week list of all the new inventory and incentives from Perry Homes and many other builders throughout San Antonio. If you have any questions, next steps, or the resources provided, reach out to the virtual open house guys, Julian and Shane. Callison Ranch. So this is about an hour-long virtual open house. We went and did footage. The same way I teach everybody to do footage, we went out and did the footage. We had edited it, and then we had James answer like 5 or 6 of our questions, and then we did a voiceover on top of the videos. And so me and Shane, it's like being on a news show. Me and Shane are having a conversation like newscasters, and then we're bringing up clips of footage to show people like, hey, we just heard about such and such at Perry Homes. Here's what's going on with them, and here's what we want. Here's the reason why you might want to come check out Perry. And then we show them, here's this floor plan, boom. All right, you guys can see this floor plan was this, and this. Here's the next floor plan. It was this, and this, boom. So we just did the same thing with D.R. Horton. We just recorded footage. We're going to do another virtual open house this Saturday. But the end product is what I'm showing you right here. Once we finish, we upload the video here. Then we promised them, and I had to keep searching for a format I thought was the, aesthetically the best way to do this. And I found this format. And it's like, all right, here's my coaching program. If people don't know what my coaching program looks like, I talked about the 5 videos. Imagine your clients or the leads that you pick up from your virtual open house, you send this to them right afterwards, and they're looking and trying to figure out like, well, what exactly am I supposed to do next? Well, they get this in their inbox, they click the links, and they can click every single one of them, and they're like, oh, first time home sellers coaching series. There's the 5 videos I was telling you guys about. If you don't have those, again, this is more content. So you're not trying to put together more and more content. Then they go, okay, well, here's a home buyer success coaching program. Same thing, just for the buyer side. Here's a voucher. Now, everybody on my team, you have access to these vouchers through me, but it's like, keep your checkbook at home, new build home test drive. But the whole point of this is to get them to sign the documentation before they go see a home with you. And then you tell them, if you complete an entire tour with us, then basically we can get you a voucher for a 3-day, 2-night vacation stay. And I can provide unlimited amounts of those. So that's another way to do it. If you don't have your own pre-listing buyer representation, I have the one that I've shared with you guys, 36 minutes. It's in here as well. Then if people are wondering, like, if you want to do the home equity analysis, how do you do that? You click on this link and your listings to leads. All this is easily set up through listings to leads, but this was set up through listings to leads. I made my own page. I want people who live on that side of town because it's over on the Northwest. Well, if you're in Northwest, you don't know about Perry Steakhouse, La Cantera, that'd be kind of weird. But if you give them something familiar to look at, they're like, oh, he's talking about our community. Yep, sure am. And so you can actually set it up to look like that. And I'm like, all right, hey, I was going to give them a way to calculate their monthly payments. Boom, there's a monthly payment. They're like, oh, okay, how much is a monthly payment? Well, it depends on your credit, debt to income ratio, all that. I tell people you want to go up as high as 50%. 51 obviously is, FHA can go to 54, but just keep it at 50 if you want to give people advice. $2,900 is what someone who has $200 a month in credit card, 500, 300 student loan, and they make 70 grand. They could go that high. They may not be comfortable with that, but they can. So this calculator will help them figure that out. Then from there, hey, what's over near Alamo Ranch? Theme parks, SeaWorld. What about sports? What about dining and whatever? It's like, welcome to Alamo Ranch, the premier destination for shops, dine, play, excitement in San Antonio. Alamo Ranch has blah, 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 conveniently located here. And then you can even talk to the builder and say, hey, do you guys want me to add anything else in there? It's like, yeah, how about add our warranty request for service? So it's in there. And then as you're looking, I think everyone would agree that you have a very professional image and a very nice way to display your entire open house. Everything you said you were going to deliver, you deliver it all in one page. How many people think that's pretty good? Anybody interested in doing all the work to put that together? Because it's not easy. So some of the folks say yes, some no. How many people are willing to put in, I guess maybe a day of footage, another day of editing, and then an hour to do the virtual open house, and then maybe another hour to put together this page. So you're looking at, let's say, including your travel time, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So maybe 5 hours every week that you plan to do one of these. And so we're doing them every other week. Now, what I'm going to tell you, the beauty of this is so you guys understand what you're working towards. Guess what happens if we want to do Prairie Homes in 2 months? Do we have to go out and do the footage again? All we got to do is find out what their incentives are and redo the exact same thing we did before. We already have the footage of the floor plans. We're not going to redo them. We're just going to talk about the new incentives. And the page is going to change, but it's going to say, for the month of whatever. You want to change this and say Callison Ranch, or you can actually go and do another community. A lot of them have the same exact floor plans, but this stuff isn't going to change. This isn't going to change. This isn't going to change. None of this other stuff is going to change, except for maybe the side of town you're on. So like this particular thing, maybe if it's near the Forum and they're on the Cibolo side of town, you might get footage over at the Forum. But guess what? That's part 2 of this exercise. So what I ended up doing with the virtual open houses was kind of merging what I saw with the most successful video campaigns out there. If you heard of Levi Lassick, who does so you planning to move to Texas or Plano, Texas? Are you planning to move to Fort Worth? With the other guy who did, 1.2 million by himself doing tours. So you want to talk about the community over in the far west side or northwest San Antonio, pick that side. If you're over in the Cibolo side of town, pick that side. Hey, if you want to learn as much as possible about this side of town, I'm going to interview some of these local mom and pop shops. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do. So you're going to become, what I say is part of the fabric of the community. And when I teach people to do regular open houses, I always tell them, go talk to the commercial entities all around this area before you pick one. They'll let you put your flyers there. They'll switch them out. When I was picking up commercial clients, a lot of times that's what I would do. Hey, I have a flyer here with your information on the back, and I hand this out every time I go places. Oh, okay. Well, hey, I happen to be looking for another space. Are you thinking about expanding or relocating? Yeah, actually we are. And I pick up commercial clients that way. So you guys can see, like, there's so many things you can do with this package now. And if this is what you want, if you're interested, just make sure you text me. Yes, I'm interested. I want to do this, because when we get started, I'm telling you now, it's not, the first time around is not going to be easy, especially, based on the fact that some people don't really like a whole lot of video. But again, if I'm doing the show with you, so to speak, we're actually just talking back and forth. And I'm sure you guys know, if I'm helping out, I'm going to carry the conversation as much as I need to, so that you guys are just in the video and you'll be answering questions back and forth with me. And it's more interactive. People, just like a newscast. I'm sure you guys know that some of the anchors do a way better job than others, but everyone looks good because there's two people on the camera having a conversation versus you trying to do this all by yourself. So, all right. But hopefully, Tanya, did I answer everything we were supposed to go over, that you some of the things you brought up?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is very detailed. I like this. I haven't seen it yet, so
Yeah.
I like the information and everything that you're providing after the fact, because you do need to have something for after the virtual tours.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if they go down even further, of course, the last piece is contact us, right? So no matter what's going on, if this keeps going out in front of them, and you take this link, let's say, and you want to, send it out every week, hey, here's our deal of the week, whatever, and they'll keep eventually seeing more and more. I've even seen how I could put this together and take all of my links for each open house inside of town and put one page together where it's just the one I send out to everyone, and I add a new community every week. So I used to do this with text messaging, because text messaging could be expensive and I didn't want to be over 160 characters. So I would just take the link and go, here's our deal of the week, or here's our whatever the week. And we put the link, send it to them, they click on the link, and it would take them to a page like this. So that way you're not spending a ton of money, because I'm sure you guys have seen the text, even the ones I send out, they're very long. And if you're using that paid service, and you're talking about 160 characters times 5 or 6, and you're paying for 5 different text messages on these paid services. So that one small link saves the entire problem. But when I found this app, let me know. I also can get this app for everybody as well. If I buy the team package, it's a lot cheaper, but I can even help you get a discount even if it's an affiliate. But again, it's going to be a little extra cost. This is like $35 a month. And I might be able to host a lot of these pages for my team members, of course. But for people who aren't on the team, it'll be a separate cost. I'm looking at how it's going to work. But again, if you're interested, let me know. We're probably going to go out in October. And as a group, we're going to walk everybody through, pick your communities, show you how to do the videos, all that stuff. And it's probably going to be a cost for some folks around $500. I think I did it 2 years ago, not nearly this detailed. It was like $497 for everybody who signed up. And I only had room for like 12 people. They sold out the first time I did it. And everybody who went on the training did the videos. Not everybody posted them. So I think the big difference here is that you're going to have me with you on the calls when you're doing the actual stuff where you're having a conversation. It's a lot easier to do it that way, just like I've interviewed you guys. So, all right, but we're up against 11 o'clock. Like I said, I never really want to go past that ever. Try to do 45 minutes. But again, like after this past week, I want everybody to see, like, we do have solutions. I don't want anyone thinking like, oh my God, I heard all this stuff going on and we're scared to death. Well, don't be. Like I said, if we can anticipate what's coming, we know how to get in front of it, and we make shit happen. That's the bottom line. So, right.
Yep, that's the point of the mastermind, so we can all get it done together and get that market share.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hopefully you guys got a lot out of it. I see some of the comments on there. If you have any questions, reach out to me directly, because I'm not gonna, once I shut this off, the chat goes away. So if you need, like, I think somebody asked for Jenna's number, other stuff like that, do you have access to the videos? Reach out to me directly or put it in the community, because it doesn't stay up here, but it will stay in the community because I can see it that way and address it. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend and, of course, a great week, and we'll see you next week.